Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we should have worn sunscreen, because this week we listened to The Valley of Death.
Written by Philip Hinchcliffe and then adapted by Jonathan Morris.
Directed by Ken Bentley.
And released in January 2012.
Nice, 2012. Also produced by David Richardson, who seems to be getting around in the Big Finish offices, apparently.
Well, that sounds vulgar.
It's only vulgar if you make it vulgar.
Well, I just did. Anyway.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is another lost story from prehistoric times.
From the dinosaur ages of Doctor Who. Back when the Doctor was played by a Brontosaurus, and he had a Stegosaurus as a companion. That's why it's called the Valley of Death, you know? It's when the asteroid hits the planet, and they're in a valley and kills off the dinosaurs.
I thought you were referencing the Great Valley where Land Before Time takes place.
I've never actually watched Land Before Time, so...
Have you seen Land Before Time 2?
No.
3, 4, 5,
no.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? I know there's at least 14 of them.
No. Jesus.
I think they stopped numbering them.
What?
So there's more. I think, I'm not sure.
Good God. They need to chill on Land Before Time.
No.
I'm not sure how much of a cash cow they could possibly be now. Like, who's buying these movies?
Yeah, I mean, who even watched the original one, to be honest?
Well, I feel like the original one has a lot of nostalgia for the 10 people who actually watched it.
I watched it.
Congrats, you're one of the lucky 10.
Along with the little toaster or whatever it's called.
Brave little toaster?
I don't know, something where this
Brave
sentient toaster goes to Mars.
Jesus. Anyway, this isn't a lost story in the same aspect that Nightmare Fae was, in that a script never actually existed for this.
Just an idea they were throwing around, pretty much.
Yeah, Philip Hinchcliffe was like, hey, I'd like to do a story set in the Amazon one time, and then the BBC was like, we don't have the budget for that, and Hinchcliffe was like, alright, well, I'll just shelve it away for 40 years from now when they make audio dramas, and my brilliant idea...
You'll all see! No.
My brilliant idea will come to fruition.
And it did. This was a really enjoyable audio, in my opinion.
I thought it was just okay, really.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything too stand out about it, but like, it kept throwing those interesting things at you one after another. Kind of like Armageddon Factor. Just kept throwing interesting things at you one after another. No,
Armageddon Factor was more like a really kind of sketchy, cobbled together array of interesting things, whereas this was a rather generic plot with interesting things sprinkled on top.
Anyway, yeah, it starts with an expedition in the Amazon, and some explorers die.
Well, it's like narrated. This guy's reading a journal, you find out, a diary, but
like 10 minutes in, or less than that, but yeah.
It starts with this guy, and he's trudging through the Amazon rainforest, unsurprisingly, and they find the Valley of Death.
Yeah. And... yeah, it's being narrated by his great-grandson to some audience or the other. Yeah. And this original part where you first find out it's being narrated was really annoying because I don't know who plays the great-grandson. I don't know his name either, but he didn't do this for the rest of the audio, but in this first scene that he appears in, he was breathing like in the mic a lot, and it was just annoying.
Yeah. I actually did notice that. Nigel Carrington plays,
yeah, he stopped doing...
Dr. Summersby?
I think that was him. He doesn't do it for the rest of the audio, thank God, but yeah, it was pretty annoying how he was doing it in this scene.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but I feel like Tom Baker's parts are also all a lot softer than everybody else's.
Nah, I didn't notice that.
That's what it felt like to me. I was like, oh, what is Tom Baker even saying right now? Probably just nonsense like he always says, but...
I mean, he came back in full force to play the Doctor. It was like he never stopped.
That's because he didn't. He is the Doctor. Always.
And Louise Jameson coming back to play
a way dumbed down version of Leela for whatever reason.
I really don't know what they were doing with Leela's character in this. I mean, it wasn't that she was dumbed down. Well, maybe it was, but it was that she would just. I don't know. They were really playing up the she's not from this time and she's not from Earth thing.
I mean, yeah,
especially in part 4.
They did that, but the way they did it was making her not understand things that she would have understood even if she wasn't from Earth, because she's from the future. So, they're talking about airplanes, and she's like, well, what is airplane? She
didn't have them, but yeah, I can see that, probably after a while of traveling with the Doctor, she wouldn't be this clueless.
Yeah.
But they did it anyway, so there's not really much we can do about it except criticize it, I guess.
Exactly. We can criticize it all we like. Nothing will change.
Isn't really much left to do but complain. Self-pity is all I have left.
The eternal problem that all Doctor Who podcasts face. There's nothing left to do but complain. At least that's what I've heard anyway.
That's not just Doctor Who podcasts. That extends to all Doctor Who fans.
That extends to all life, really, actually. I feel like once you hit a certain age, you're like, well, there's nothing left to do but complain. Like, complaining about the younger generation and their damn iPhones.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyone listening to this on a smartphone right now should just stop.
Just turn it off. You can only listen to this via the tape we'll send you through carrier pigeon. If you'd like to put in a request, send a mail to 167 not a real address. So
unsurprisingly, the Doctor and Leela are at this reading of this guy's journal.
Just a public reading of this guy's personal thoughts. Gets really intimate at one point, and they're all like, this is awkward.
And I forget how they start interacting with Summersby.
Well, so the Doctor... Let me take out my notes from underneath the microphone. The Doctor asks this really good question, actually. He says, well, if Professor Cornelius got killed in the Valley of Death, how do you have his diary? Because he says they just never found his body.
I didn't make it up, I swear.
She's making it up for tax purpose. Stealing all this money to go on this expedition.
His great-grandfather's still alive, and he's just collecting the life insurance money.
He's not really planning to go on this expedition. He's just extorting money from the government. But then the Doctor's like, well, I'm coming with you now. He's like, oh, shoot. Gotta actually go to the Amazon now.
No, I actually forget what he says. I don't know how he got his journal.
He says that some natives found it, and then it ended up at an auction in somewhere, and then he heard of it, and then he bought it, and now it's here. The Doctor's like, well, I guess that satisfies that question.
He's like, so what are you going to do now? And he's like, well, I was planning on taking a trip to the Amazon because I'm a great explorer like my great-grandfather was. And the Doctor's like, well, your great-grandfather kind of died and failed at his expeditions, so...
The guy's like, yeah, and then the Doctor's like, well, I'm scientific advisor to unit, and they've told me I'm going with you. Also, this is my assistant Leela, by the way.
Yeah. So, they go...
They go.
And they take a reporter named, I don't remember, with them.
Named Valerie Carlton.
Yeah, and she's American. From the same part of the U.S. as Perry, obviously.
The mysterious British part of America.
She was worse than Nicola Bryant, though. Considerably worse.
She was, actually. I didn't even realize she was supposed to be American until deep into part 2, where she said some word with a heavy, I suppose, Bostonian accent.
Yeah, it sounds like she was going for a Boston accent, if she knew what she was going for. But, yeah, that's a question for her, I guess.
So they're flying, and then all of a sudden, they have that slapstick moment where they're like,
where
wait.
they run into a freak storm. Okay, no.
No. Where they're like, wait, but who is flying the plane?
from that classic Disney short where Goofy's like, well, if you're here and I'm here and Donald's here, then who's driving the train?
Trains don't need to be driven.
Okay, well, you know
You're
what
on
I
a
mean.
track.
You know what I mean.
All you need to do is increase or decrease speed.
You know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, so nobody's flying the plane.
Yeah, the pilots are dead somehow.
Yeah.
Surprise.
I don't remember how or why the pilots died. Maybe
don't
they
think they
all
even
just committed
said.
ritual suicide.
Some sort of weird pilot cult where they commit suicide right over the Amazon to perpetuate this myth of the second Bermuda Triangle.
They just kill themselves to keep up the charade.
It's really dark.
Yeah, they mentioned the second Bermuda Triangle. Literally called Bermuda Triangle 2 or something.
No, literally called the second Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I mean, they should probably think of a better name for it, because Bermuda is like the region, and it's just yeah. Maybe
It's
it should
not
be called
even
the Amazon
really
Triangle.
triangular shaped. If you like look at the map of all the planes that disappeared, it's
Or
really
just
more like a
over
trapezoid.
Florida, and then also the Caribbean, and then like some places in the Atlantic too. But yeah, the pilots died, and like, oh shoot, we're going down, and then they run into a freak thunderstorm.
Yeah. Then the doctor's like, well, I can put us down, potentially crash, but that's okay, because if I don't even try, we're guaranteed to die anyway.
Well, not necessarily, considering the plane crash that just happened yesterday, where 0 died and 2 were injured.
Because there were only 2 people in that plane.
Yeah, but it like crashed right into the freeway, and there was a huge explosion.
I mean, yes. Actually surprised no one on the freeway got injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully. So...
Yeah, thankfully. Okay, no. It actually is thankful. But, I mean,
they put the plane down. The doctor puts the plane down rather forcefully, and they all come out of it completely fine.
Yeah, so...
Actually completely even unscathed.
Calling back to that classic Doctor Who thing where they set up a cliffhanger and then resolve it with everyone just getting off completely unscathed within the next 3 seconds. Except it wasn't at the end of a part, it was in the middle.
Kind of reminds me of the A-Team, actually. The A-Team was like always really specific about showing people climbing out of cars after car crashes, because they didn't want anybody to actually die on the show, even though it's like kind of a hyper-violent show. But no one actually dies, which I thought was interesting.
They did something similar in part 4 of this, where Leela's like, I don't think you were ever really alive to begin with. And I was like, when has Doctor Who ever shied away from showing Leela brutally murder people? I guess now is that time.
Yes, the answer to that is now. Anyway, so they kind of split up, I think, or they get split up. The doctor goes with...
somehow. The doctor goes with...
the reporter.
Yeah, and Leela goes with...
Summersby.
Yeah.
What is the reporter's name again? Carlton.
Yeah.
Valerie. So the doctor's with Valerie.
Yeah.
Leela's with Summersby.
The doctor and Valerie get captured, like, almost immediately, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's how they get split up. The doctor and Valerie... get caught in a trap, and Leela's like, I can free you, but then they hear people coming, so the doctor tells Leela to take Summersby back to the plane and wait for him there.
Yeah, weirdly, Leela says, oh no, a Janus thorn. I didn't get this part at all, but it was like, Leela goes, oh no, a Janus thorn. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, her and Summersby get hit with like a dart of some sort, and she thinks it's a Janus thorn.
Oh.
But it ends up just being like a poison that knocks her out, and then she wakes up later and she's in I guess the City of Gold.
Yeah.
They probably should have just called it El Dorado, because that's something that like everybody realizes, but instead they gave it some really obscure name for this story that I don't remember at all.
Yeah, wasn't El Dorado more like a North American thing, whereas there in
El
Brazil...
Dorado was more of a Central American thing, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know, but yeah.
Which goes by into the theory that the real El Dorado was in your heart all along.
Is that from the movie?
I don't know. Anyway, the doctor and Valerie get taken to this camp, and they meet Cornelius.
Yeah, the great-grandfather whose journal they were following.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm alive. And they're like,
Like,
what?
yeah. He's like, wait, what year is it? or something reminds or makes him question. I think he asks Valerie what she has, and she's like, "Oh, it's a camera." And he's like, "Wait, that's a camera?" And she's like, "Yeah."
It's 1977, you doofus.
And obviously, the Doctor and Valerie are like, "What the heck are you doing alive?"
And the Doc's like, well, there must be a time bubble placed around this obvious crashed spaceship. The reason why the Doctor actually wanted to go on the trip was because he thought that what Cornelius found was a spaceship. He didn't know, but he thought it was a spaceship.
Yeah, because we didn't mention the whole part where he finds something that is described suspiciously like a spaceship.
Yeah.
Anyway, he doesn't say there's a time bubble yet. He just says there's some sort of weird thing going on.
Yeah, bring back that time dilation thing that was briefly introduced last week for us. And briefly introduced on the TV show, actually, funny enough, 2 weeks ago from when this goes out.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like a critical plot point to that episode, actually. I had to explain time dilation to my dad to help him make sense of it, because the episode does a rather poor job of actually explaining it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, like, again, where do you want to spend, like, 5 minutes explaining it on the episode, or do you want to just go with it?
I mean, yeah, but you could...
Like, 99% of people want to just go with it.
Maybe, a minute explaining it, instead of just going, top of the ship moves quicker than the bottom of the ship.
Makes sense to me. What's not to understand
well,
about that?
Could have been like,
quicker than the bottom.
1 second up there is 1 year down here.
Oh, yeah, I guess. They say something like that in this. I forget what the actual, like, time frame of it is, but yeah.
Well, they spend 2 years there.
They spend 2 years when they actually spent, like, a day in the city or less than a day, so. Anyway, Leela and, what's his face are also captured.
By a different tribal group that's way bigger and actually lives in the city of gold that's not El Dorado.
Yeah. And they're like, oh shoot, what should we do? And they encounter some god or something.
Whose name is Godwin.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't realize that until right now. Godwin, wow. It's interesting.
You mean lame. It's actually not that lame. It's just kind of boring.
There, yeah. And he talks to them in like this booming voice. He's like, what are you guys doing here?
And they're
like, oh shoot, he speaks English.
Well, then Leela's like, the face of Zoannon was bigger.
Yeah.
Because there's like a face carved into something.
Which, I mean, maybe if I'm remembering correctly, the face of Zoannon wasn't that big. I mean, Tom Baker's like, what, 6'2" or something like that?
But it wasn't life-size.
The face of Zoannon... Oh yeah, I guess they're talking about the one. Rushmore. I guess they're talking about the one carved in the rock.
The one carved into the mountain.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Do you think they were talking about the computer, Tom Baker's actual face? Oh,
no, I thought they were talking about the computer room one at the end, which was probably only like 15 feet tall.
This actually brings up a good point that Leela makes like an insane amount of continuity references in this story. Like there's the Janus Thorn, there's the face of Zoannon.
Yeah, gotta bring in that Doctor Who cinematic universe. Can't go 5 minutes in a movie or a TV show without referencing something else that's coming out soon. Haha.
Only if your name is Disney.
So yeah.
Well, so the Doctor and Valerie they go to the space. They find the spaceship.
Yeah,
they escape.
It's nearby. Yeah.
Cornelius.
Yeah.
They find the spaceship.
It's only been like a couple days for Cornelius, so.
Yeah, they go
like a month or however
4 weeks, I think he says.
Well, because it would be 100 years, so however long.
He said 4 weeks explicitly, so.
So, they go find the spaceship, and Cornelius is like, why don't you guys check it out while I stay in the safety of the outside of the ship.
The safety of this dangerous Amazon rainforest. Amazon rainforest is actually one of the most dangerous places in the world. Fun fact.
How bad could it be?
Pretty bad. I mean, it gets really hot, first of all.
Even more reason to just chop it all down, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a controversial opinion that I don't agree with.
Anyway. Doctor...
I have a feeling you don't agree with either.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about that. The Doctor and Valerie go into the ship, and they're like, hey, we're on a spaceship.
And then it falls off a cliff. The Doctor's like, good thing there's still some fuel left. So the cliffhanger, quite literally, is that they fall off the cliff doing that Romans thing.
What? When did they
I
fall
think it
off
was
the
the
cliff
Romans
in
where
the
the tortoise fell off a cliff. I'm sure that was the Romans.
Wasn't it the Time Meddler?
It might have been.
I think it was the Time Meddler.
I thought it was the Romans, because I thought it was with Vicky.
I don't remember,
Ian
honestly.
and Barbara.
Oh yeah, maybe the Time Meddler was the one where it got swept away by the tide, or they thought it did, and then it was just unexplainably there at the end of the serial or something. I don't remember. But speaking of cliffs, this is a good time to bring up that weird line from like part 3 or 4 where Leela... This is another one of those stupid Leela things that they did in this where... God, what was the saying? Oh yeah, Leela wants to say the coast is clear, and she goes, the beach is clear. And then the doctor's like, wait, what do you mean? She's like, well, the beach is the same as a coast. And I was like, well, that's, first of all, it's kind of just a dumb line. It's not even funny.
And also, it's not true.
Yeah, it's not true. Like, cliffs can be coasts, too. As the British should know, I think. I mean, I don't
know. No, they should.
Yeah. So,
I mean, maybe someone would argue that cliffs are just really, really steep beaches.
Really
just
steep
near
and
vertical
rocky beaches. Well, anyone who says that can be my guest to just go hang out at cliffs and have a great day at a cliff.
Beach.
Picnic on a cliff face.
Hey, there's those people who, like, climb mountains and they spend the night, like, hanging off the side of a cliff in those tents that hang on the side of the cliff. Or, like, people who climb,
like those
El
cities
Capitan
in Southeast
El
Asia
Capitan
built on the side of cliffs.
What is it, Yosemite? They just spend, like, it takes them, like, 3 days to climb. It's, like, an almost near vertical rock face. They just spend the night sleeping in a very sketchy tent. They just, like, anchor into the wall.
Well, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. If you know what I mean.
I don't. Can you elaborate, please? Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so...
there's some fuel left.
Yeah, there's
so
some
they
fuel
land.
left. I think they just land.
The doctor makes this accusation. He's like, you didn't come on this ship. And he's like, what are you implying? And they're like...
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
So they continue on with him.
To the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story actually also does the thing that would seem to be implied by the fact that Louise Jameson and Tom Baker kind of hated each other when they worked on the show, which is they like barely ever appear in the scene together in this story. It's like always the Doctor and Valerie Carlton, and it's always Leela and Summersby.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Kind of weird. But not that weird, I guess.
I don't know. So Leela and Summersby also get into the city somehow.
Well, yeah, because they got taken there by that other tribe.
Well, they're not like in the city proper yet, I think. They're like in sort of a pre-area.
They're somewhere nearby.
I don't know.
They're
Maybe
in a waiting room.
City.
Fully furnished waiting room.
Elevator music. Okay, no.
Godwin, we'll see you now.
Yeah, so I forget how they escape, though, but they make their way into the city where the Doctor and Valerie are.
Yeah, with Cornelius. And then Cornelius is like, haha, my job has been luring people into the city.
Yeah, we skipped all the sketchy surveillance scenes where the guy's surveilling them and laughing like, That's one thing I liked about, what's his name? I forgot his name, but his laugh was actually or something similar, so.
Jeez.
We'll get to there. So. Yeah, so Cornelius reveals his traitorness.
And then Godwin's like, here, have some gold. Now you can go back and start your new life in 1847. And then he gets blown up.
Yeah. I mean, what did he think was going to happen? Did he think he was just going to get away with gold?
Listening to the like extras, the guy was like, "Yes, I've never done sci-fi before. I did like one episode of a show once, and then I died at the end. And then I did this." And then the guy's like, "Yeah," and then I blew you up in episode 2, and he's like, "Yeah, so at least I got 2 episodes this time and not 1." So,
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of weird. I didn't listen to the extras, but it's kind of weird to be like, "Yeah, I never done sci-fi." And say that in like 2012 when now so much has like supernatural elements in it or fantastic elements. It's just like, plus it's just a generic ass romance movie. It's probably gonna have some supernatural element to it,
or like a mystery,
I guess,
or like
most
a cop procedural.
Most things that people are into these days, most popular things, have some supernatural or fantastic element to them.
Yeah, it's because most things that people are into nowadays are comic book movies. Comic book movies are in.
Can't wait for that comic book bubble to burst.
It's never going to burst fully. I think it'll just go on a slow decline.
Yeah, I guess it's like when you blow a bubblegum bubble and it just sort of fizzles
Deflates,
out.
sadly.
I hope we're on that track already. Seriously do. Anyway.
I think we're slightly on that track. I think it's going to start real big when we get to Avengers Infinity War, because then Marvel will be like, well, we're out of characters now to make movies about.
You mean Disney?
I mean, yes.
New Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland was pretty cool, so at least there's that.
At least we've got that sick tie-in.
Anyway, back to the story. Cornelius is dead.
Cornelius is dead. And
everyone else is like, oh shoot. So they get taken in by Godrin. And the doctor's like, I kind of think there's sort of just a tiny guy at a control panel controlling Godrin and acting as him.
Yeah, I saw this in a movie once. The movie was Wizard of Oz. That the doctor explicitly makes a reference to later on. He's like, you can't just go around doing the Wizard of Oz thing forever.
I thought it was that movie with Eddie Murphy where it's like a tiny little alien inside a bigger Eddie Murphy. I forgot what that movie's called.
Or just the future of Doctor Who when there's a tiny 11th Doctor inside a robot 11th Doctor.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so Godrin is being controlled by some guy whose name I forgot.
His name is... I don't know.
Oh, it's the taxi driver. No.
It's the taxi driver. He was behind it. Must be Valcon.
Yeah, it must be Valcon. I just imagined him as the Bandrel from Time Lash. Especially considering the video appearance that his buddies make in part 3 or 4 or whatever it was. So.
They describe him as having yellow skin, though.
Yeah, well, I just disregarded the description like I sometimes do, and just imagined him as a Bandrel.
All right. So the doctor's like, well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He says he's here to help the human race. Let's just pile onto this airplane and we'll fly back to London.
Let's just believe him, even though he's super suspicious and has given us no reason to believe him at all. But the doctor's actually suspicious of him, if you couldn't tell. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's the case. But at the same time, while I was listening to this, I like to think that the doctor actually was just oblivious to it. Makes it a little funnier.
I feel like he wasn't oblivious, but that he actually genuinely believed for one. He did, not genuinely necessarily, but did believe to an extent that maybe for once an alien actually is here to help the human race. But I think he's also old enough to know that if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, I thought he didn't believe it, but he was just like, well, let's just take the chance and see, and if it's not the case, which it's probably not, then I'll just stop him.
Yeah.
That's what I thought he was probably thinking. And that's exactly what happens, so... Yeah. So they head back to England, and when they land, they find out that they've been gone for 2 years.
Yeah, which means the TARDIS has been just sitting somewhere in London for 2 years.
Yeah.
2010
London. This takes place in 2010 for some reason, I think. Or no, it's
1977.
No, yeah, never mind. That's the book that I'm reading right now, which is what we're going to do for the 8th Doctor. Yeah, we're doing a book for the 8th Doctor, so if you want to guess which one it is,
you won't.
Be our guess.
Oh my god. You won't guess, by the way. It's going to be nigh on
impossible. It's really good, by the way. Just saying, I'm like 70 pages in. It's really good.
That's surprising, because it's been called the worst Doctor Who novel ever written.
Well, now it's going to be easy to find for anyone who cares. All 0 people who care.
It's also on the website.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to look at the website, and I doubt anyone listening to this looks at the website.
if you
Bastards.
look at
Okay,
the
never
website, leave a comment on the website saying, hi,
If you
I
look
look
at
at
the
the website.
click ads on the okay.
Make us sense.
Makes sense to me.
So the Doctor gets separated from Leela. Once again, it goes Leela Summersby, Dr. Carlton,
Yeah, there's
and Godrin, whatever the hell.
Valcon or whatever his name was has another evil villain moment where he goes, "Ha ha ha! You guys thought I was a good guy, but I'm actually the antagonist." And a war fleet of my buddies are hanging out around Jupiter.
The Doctor's like, I never really believed you were good. Sad face.
Yeah, not sure why they make it so that they have a war fleet at Jupiter. I mean, I guess the war fleet is super fast and can just make it to Earth immediately, but it would be a bit more menacing if he said war fleet surrounding Earth, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, but they're like hiding behind Jupiter because maybe there's space radar.
Yeah,
They don't want to
maybe.
be detected by space radar. Because actually they do detect them later when the fleet moves closer to Earth when, I'm just going to call him Godwin, calls them.
It's Valcon
Because,
or something. Yeah, I don't know.
The general at unit's like, there's this fleet above us. Oh yeah, and the Soviet Union has given us control of all their nukes. Which I was like, that wouldn't happen. That's the most unbelievable part of the story.
Yeah, they give like this ultimatum later, like, yeah, if you guys aren't back in 3 minutes, we're gonna send all these nukes and blow you up. They give them like a ridiculously short amount of time to finish the job.
You're going to blow up the spaceships with nukes, and the Doctor's like, why would you do that? The Doctor describes it as like poking a bear with peas or something.
Yeah. Anyway, we should probably explain how they get to that point, which is that I didn't get the transition between part 2 and part 3. It seemed like all of a sudden they were just on the ship.
Well, so Godwin goes to the British Broadcasting Centre,
Oh, yeah!
or the BBC.
Forgot
And
about that.
he uses their technology to not only make an announcement to Earth, but also to his home fleet. They go something like, hello, Earth, we have a fleet.
Another weirdly similar plot point to the 8th Doctor book that we're reading.
Oh, boy. And then he goes to the ship. They, like, send down a ship to pick him up, and he goes up with Leela and Summersby, and they get captured.
Yeah, and separated.
Thrown in the brig. Anyway, the brig's actually in Oslo talking about fishing stocks. And I was like, wow. You couldn't have thought a better way to write out the brig. I mean, obviously they wrote out the brig because Nicholas Courtney isn't alive anymore when they recorded this. But, like, fishing stocks? Fishing stocks?
Why not?
So General, what's his name, is the Brigadier stand-in.
Yeah, the trigger-happy stand-in.
And yeah, he does everything the brig would do, like threatening the aliens with nukes and deciding to shoot first, ask questions later.
And have none of his conventional weapons work.
And sacrifice himself for the saving of humankind?
Well, not really.
Well, he's like, if anyone's going up in that spaceship, it's going to be me because I don't want to send anybody on my behalf. The Doc's like, I was thinking the same thing. I'm coming with you.
So they go up. Meanwhile...
With the reporter.
Meanwhile... Yeah, what are Leela and... What's his name doing?
They're escaping through the air vents.
Oh yeah, Leela's like, Doctor always told me, look for air vents. And if there's ever an air vent, use it.
Kind of weird advice. You kind of have to wonder what kind of conversation that would have come up in, like...
Well, if they're ever in a locked room...
They're just eating dinner and the Doc's like, you know what, Leela? If you ever come across an air vent, use it. Even if you're not captured, just always use the air vents. So they spend the majority of episode 3 lost in the air
doing
vents.
Nothing.
And the Doctor
kind of like
shows up.
Terminus.
Oh yeah, Tegan and Turlo go running
Turlo
around.
spent the majority of the serial just running around in the air vents. Actually, most of the characters in Terminus just spent the majority of the story running around. Anyway, the Doctor and Valerie show up, and they're getting the grand tour of the place.
Yeah. Actually, I think Valcon was the person on the ship.
I don't remember.
Who worked with Godwin. I don't know. But yeah, there's like a lady alien on the ship who's like, they're called the Lumons, by the way. And she's like, oh yeah, we want to give Earth all this great technology because we were destroyed as a race, and we want to give humans good technology so they don't make the same mistake we do.
Yeah, because Godwin actually gave them their backstory, which we forgot, which was that his race tried to do something with their son. I forget what he lies about, because this part is a lie. But they ended up wiping themselves out, and now they're just looking for a new place.
Yeah.
He was one of the ones who got stranded on Earth and was just looking for a way back. But yeah, so they're informed right now that some more about this backstory, but it's also a lie, and I forget what she says. So
yeah, it's not all a lie. It turns out that a substantial portion of the Lumon race actually did get wiped out. But the Doctor reveals it was actually because of the solar radiation from the sun they're keeping in their spaceship.
Yeah.
Anyway, they make copies of the Doctor, Leela, Summersby, and all the people. They like scan them when they get on the ship.
Yeah.
And it's revealed like now because Leela and Summersby find the blank copies and watch as they get made into like
it's revealed when they say
copies.
It's revealed when they say like, I'm gonna use that DNA we got to make some copies, and then like 5 minutes later they see them making the copies.
Whoops.
Yeah, so
they're like robots, but not, Leela says, they're like flesh robots. They're flesh bots.
They had a cool metallic sounding voice where it just sounded barely robotic. It sounded mostly like the original actor.
Like someone had taken the robot filter and put it on 1%.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, these bots are given the order to kill.
Unsurprisingly, like, Chameleon and Canine have been the only friendly robots in the entire show.
And D-84.
Oh, yeah, D-84.
And, well, Chameleon wasn't really friendly. He was more just controlled
by the master,
and not there mainly. Were there any other ones? I don't think so, but whatever.
I mean, K1 was pretty antagonistic.
There was a Boss. No.
Oh yeah, Boss.
No.
Yeah, but Boss had a cool voice.
Yeah.
Bring back Boss.
Anyway,
there was Votan and the War Machines.
Yeah. There was the janitors from Paradise Towers, or whatever their name was. The cleaners.
The cleaners.
Anyway.
Yeah,
they kind of, I think, just run around on the ship for a long time.
Well, so Leela finds the Doctor and warns him about the duplicates, and then the aliens are like, haha, our cunning plan to replace these people on the ship with duplicates and send them down and have them convince the people of Earth to accept us. What they're telling the humans is they want to live on the places that humans can't use, like the deserts and the ice caps. And the Doctor's like, well, that might be a problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe he's going to say that might be a problem because the Silurians also want to live there. But no. And the General does the Brigadier and the Silurians thing too, which is like, we should just kill them all.
They've already made this unrealistic offer that's obviously a lie. Like, even if you don't give in to our demands, we're just going to uphold our end of the bargain and give you all this cool crap.
Like I said earlier, the Doctor knows if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah. It's a pretty good life lesson.
So then
who says Doctor Who isn't still an educational show?
I'd say it's still an educational show. I feel like it's
yeah, but it's more educational in the sense that, like, you might learn some stuff you never knew instead of... Well, I guess that's how it always was, actually. Never mind.
Like time dilation. Time moves slower.
Actually, it might be more educational now, considering how many liberties they took with the quote-unquote historical serials.
Anyway.
I think the Doctor and Leela tell Valerie and Summersby to hide while they go deal with the situation.
Yes.
And they do that, and the Doctor and Leela then are confronted by the duplicates, and they have a face-off. And it cuts back to a romantic moment between Valerie and Summersby. And honestly, I didn't really feel that this was out of place for once on the show. For once in Doctor Who.
It was okay.
Well, because they were kind of leading up to it with, like, Valerie's a really crap reporter and Summersby is a really crap wannabe explorer. So they're like, yeah.
They were made for each other.
Yeah. So that's why I was more okay with it.
Anyway.
The end is kind of weird where they decide to just... Yeah, anyway, we'll get there.
They decide to just bang right there. Okay. So these robots bust in on them, and they're like, oh no, it's the robots, and they take them to... Well, we actually skipped the cliffhanger. We skipped the cliffhanger to part 3, which is where they're in the room with the sun, and they're like, we're going to destroy you with the sun, but then Leela saves them.
Yeah, because we forgot to mention some of the properties of the sun, which is that it's...
a sun.
Well, it's covered by, like, some sort of heat...
Force field.
Some sort of force field of which, like, diminishes its powers, but they even with the force field, they can't even open their eyes around it
because it's a sun.
And they're like, if we deactivated this force field, you just die immediately
because it's a sun. They make it out like it's this really new thing that they've invented, but it's a sun.
Well, didn't they amplify its powers? They did.
They're using it as a power source.
Well, it also has some weird mind control properties to it.
It's like emitting some sort of unique radiation is messing with the Lumons, the Doctor says later.
It only affects them.
He reveals that's actually what killed off all the other Lumons, because they were like getting sick, and they're like, oh, we put them out of our misery, that's why there's only 22 of us left.
Yeah.
The Doctor's like, oh, you all died because of the sun you're keeping in your spaceship.
Well, I thought this was before they put it in the ship.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The sun killed them off before they put it in the spaceship, but it's still affecting them now that it's in the spaceship.
Yeah, it's just controlling them into apparently being
evil.
Evil, yeah. Maybe our sun is doing that. Would explain
Curse
a lot.
You, son.
Anyway, they take Valerie and Summersby to the control room, and what's his name? Godrin is like, good. And the Doctor and Leela are like, surprise, we're actually not.
Yeah, because they melt the people in the sun because they're like, oh, those are the real ones. But then they get destroyed, and the Doctor and Leela are like, actually, we're the real ones. And they're like, oh, darn, you whoop-de-whopped us.
I liked this because...
but you could see it coming from a mile away.
I didn't see it coming from a mile away. I saw it coming from like 2 seconds away. I was like, wait a minute, could it be that, oh shoot, they actually did it?
I saw it the instant they walked into the room, it was given away because Leela says something like, oh, you really did a number with that sonic screwdriver right before they flip into their robotic personas, and that completely gives away what they did. Like, right before they come into the room with Summersby and Valerie pretending to be the robots, Leela says, like, oh, you really did a number with the sonic screwdriver there.
Yeah, I thought that was... in my opinion, that made it seem like she was the copy. Just the way she said it. It was actually that specific line that made me think that.
That line, like, just gave it away for me. Like, from that moment, it's obvious that these are the real ones.
Well, I liked it.
Especially since their orders were to kill, not to bring them.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, Valerie and Summersby don't see it coming either, like I didn't, so.
There's also a Valerie and Summersby robot that shows up later.
Yeah, because they made copies of all of them.
And a copy of the General that we don't know what happens to. Oh, it gets sent down to Earth, I think.
I don't remember. But, yeah, they decide to go into the sun control room to deal with the sun problem.
Well, so they set up
They distribute free sunscreen to everyone on Earth.
Well, so they, the sun is, also starting to mind control all the people on Earth because of whatever. But they've, put up this time bubble around the ship because apparently it'll take, 6 years for it to fully take over Earth, and they don't want to wait that long, so they'll just sit in the ship for 2 days and then, boom, be done. But the Doctor's like, well, I'll just go shut down the sun, and they're like, haha, nice try, there's a force field. So the Doctor blows up the force field generator so it can never be turned on again.
Before this, the Doctor tells Leela to not to intervene and try and help no matter what because he doesn't want to endanger her. And he's like, you get what I'm saying, Leela? And she's like, I understand the meaning of your words. And that was just such a stupid line.
Yeah, it was.
It totally gives away, I mean, it's obvious what she's going to do already. And then there's this line which is just like, all right, could you make it any more obvious, please?
So they go into the room, and the Doctor gives Leela his sonic screwdriver, and then she meets the Valerie robot, and then she says this other really cheesy, dumb line where she's like, you can't beat me. I have the greatest weapon in the universe.
Yeah.
A screwdriver.
Yeah, that was...
And like, okay, that kind of works in the reboot when the Doctor delivers it in a much better way. But like, Leela...
Yeah, it is. Yeah, part of it is Leela, but the other part of it is just, it's just not a good line.
It's because it's not written very well, honestly.
No, or delivered really well. But yeah, that about wraps up that. It kind of just ends in 30 seconds after this.
Yeah, they use this... Well, Leela uses the screwdriver to blow up the robots. Yeah, really sonic screwdriver ex machina in this story. So they blow up the force field generator, blow up the robots with the sonic screwdriver. They open the ship earlier on in the story.
Yeah, really calling back to that period when they really needed to write it out, and then they did.
And then Valerie and Summersby are like... We're gonna go with the Lumons. Oh yeah, Leela gets dosed with radiation, but then the Doctor like turns the sun off, and then the Lumons are all good, and then...
Yeah, what's-her-face is like, wow, I feel like a whole new Lumon. Were they actually the Lumons, or what?
Yeah,
you sure?
they were.
Were they like... We can look it up right now. I thought they were...
No, it's the Lumons. I remember because it
Wait,
was...
just scroll up to the enemy thing that they always have that spoils a lot of story.
Luron.
Yeah, Lurons.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, not really.
It's one letter.
Yeah,
Same
more like
thing.
2.
1.
No, Lumon, Luron. Oh yeah, it's 1. Well, yeah, I mean, Lumon, I guess you could spell with an A. So
yeah, but I was just imagining with an O.
But I wasn't. So.
Yeah. So then she's like, I can fix Leela, and so she does, and then Valerie and Summers be like, we're going to go with the Lurons back to their home planet.
Yeah, kind of weird. They just decided to do that. Well, I guess it's all right because if they don't like it, what's her name can send them back. That's what they say. But what if she was just bluffing? And she's actually still evil. What if all this was just part of their plan to bring humans to their planet, which they needed for some bigger nefarious purpose?
Well, the reason why they needed the humans on the ship was to get the photocopies.
Yeah, I know, but what if...
Xerox.
What if bringing 2 humans back to their planet was just all part of their plan and it just all worked out for them?
What if this is actually the origin of our universe and Godrin is actually God and Valerie and Summersby are Adam and Eve and they're going to drop them on a new planet?
Interesting.
Anyway, the Doctor's like, all right, fine by me, let's leave Leela, and then it ends. They don't even get back to the TARDIS. They get in the like escape pod and then cut to end credits.
Yeah. So overall, really good story. I really liked the characters. Really liked all the cool plot twists and events. There weren't really plot twists. It was more just things happening that interested me.
I just thought it was okay. I felt like the setup was really good.
Got that setting change.
The setting change was good. I liked that. But I also feel like when the setting changed, it became super generic. Like the whole...
Yeah, because they just went to a spaceship.
Yeah, the whole third and fourth parts were just typical unit story. Like, the first 2 parts were more interesting because, they're in the Amazon. They've never been to the Amazon before, and there's a spaceship, and all the natives think that the alien there is a god, and like, oh, that's a cool concept that's never, like, been done, really.
No, it's been done, really. It's been done multiple times, actually.
Yeah,
it's still a cool concept, but it's been done.
It's got a city made of gold. That's never been done.
I think they could have kept in the Amazon for three parts.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially since part 3, they sort of just dick around on the spaceship.
Bringing back that classic series thing where part 3 is the disposable part of the story. Yeah.
Or that parts 4 through 7 if you're watching a first Doctor story. Okay, no.
Parts 2 onwards.
Parts 2 until the final 10 minutes of the last episode. Web Planet did it right.
Or just all of the story if it's season 7.
Anyway, yeah, I probably liked this story more than I should.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I guess it is.
I
didn't like the dumb Leela thing they were going for.
Yeah, that bugged me too. It felt like it was out of place with what they'd established already for her character.
I wonder what Louise Jameson... I almost said Louise Lameson.
I'm sure she probably has thoughts on it in the 13 tracks of interviews this box set has that I didn't listen to.
I mean, I'm sure she's not going to vehemently speak out about it on the interview for the thing, because, like, yeah.
That'd be in bad taste. Oh yeah, I really hated this story, but I did it anyway
really
for the
BS
money.
Gotta get that sweet Leela money. Leela's still one of the best companions.
Yeah, despite this story.
And despite her write-out, never forgive, never forget.
She becomes a major player. Big Finish has a series just set on Gallifrey about Gallifrey and politics, and she becomes like a major player in that story. And Romana too comes back and becomes president, and Leela's there, and there's 2 K9s there, because there's the K9 with Romana and there was the K9 with Leela.
They should make a political intrigue story about Steven and his rise to power. His underhanded rise to power.
You know, he just showed up on the planet, kind of stopped an insurrection, and then was made king. Kind of like this TV show I watch where there's this magical world where only humans can be kings and queens, but humans aren't native to this world. It's like another dimension, but only humans can be king. And I was like, who made that rule? Only aliens can be kings here. Anyway, email us at thedoctor@decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Leela, or Dumb Leela, as we've apparently dubbed her for this story. Leela 2.0. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time, we're listening to Spare Parts with Crinoid Podcast. But until then, the end.